Okay, so hello everyone. Today I'm going to talk about my research topic on eliminating poverty, the positive welfare effect of food prices control in China. I'm going to divide my presentation into four parts. Firstly, I'm going to talk about the inspiration of the topic and the stream of thoughts. Then I'm going to talk about the collection of data, and then about the status quo in China, and finally the following plan. So, firstly, the inspiration of the topic and stream of thoughts. What drew my attention on the price control of food in China recently is actually the coronavirus outbreak. As the food in every supermarket is looted by citizens panicking about the virus, the price of it is skyrocketed to astonishing level. A lot of families are suffering, and there are people asking for help on social medias every day. A lot of people are suffering, are sharing the pictures of their last plate of food. Um, then in about March, China government exerted a bunch of price control policies to stabilize the price of basic food, and the food price finally back to normal. No exaggeration to say, the food price is the lifeblood of a country's citizens, especially for the poor. Well, the government intervention is a shield for the poor to protect the affordability of food and help with the poverty issue. These two are two pictures about the coronavirus outbreak and the food price. The first picture is a young lady asking for help on social media, saying that she didn't have money to buy vegetables and other foods anymore because now the food price in their community is 50 to 80 about one meal, and it's about like 7 to 8 times higher than the normal level, and she didn't have a lot of deposit. She just have 1,000 China yuan, so she's now like only eating one meal a day, and she can only like resist for 3 days. And the right picture is in the supermarket, the cabbage sold at 35 China yuan per piece, which is about 7 to 8 times off the normal level. Okay, so something about my basic research and inspiration of my methodology. During my research about poverty, I read a research about the relationship between health, income, and poverty about China's rural household survey. They used GDP per capita as a measurement of poverty and the amount of population with different diseases as the independent variable to evaluate the overall health status. This inspired me the method to change qualitative variables into quantitative ones, and thus the relationship would be easier to be found. This research gathers data from nationwide cross-sectional survey and target the poor households as samples. I also get to know from the research that China has created a national registration system for the poor households that enables local officials to gather data from each individual person. The criteria for inclusion are having difficulty in stable access to food and clothing, or 9-year compulsory education, or basic medical services and housing, or an average annual net income per household below the national poverty line. And this may be useful to me in the following steps of my research. So, about poverty. Poverty is globally regarded as a serious challenge, and poverty reduction is put in a prior position in the policy agenda of many developing countries. Over the past 40 years, since the economic reform launched in 1978, rapid economic growth has lifted millions of people out of poverty in China. According to the national poverty line in China, which is about 3,000 China yuan, the extreme poverty rate had been reduced from 97.5% in 1978 to 4.5% in 2016. However, relative poverty still exists in the long run. Since poverty cannot simply be measured by the amount of income, but should also consider the proportion of income that are truly disposable and subjective feeling. High price of basic food and poverty are generally believed to have a causality relationship. As the price of basic food increases, citizens have to pay a higher proportion of their income on food, and thus lead to opportunity cost in medical health, education, and other aspects. Measurement of poverty. The most prevalent measurement of poverty is to set an objective poverty line with monetary value. Traditionally, absolute poverty is measured based on a comparison of resources to needs. Thus, a family is identified as the poor if its resources cannot fulfill its basic needs. Well, need is a really subjective word, and we have to quantify the variables to do the modeling. Instead of using the global or regional poverty line, I choose to use an index to reflect life quality, since the main focus of my research is on relative poverty instead of absolute poverty. How will the price of food affect life quality of citizens, even if their income stay the same? And how government would regulate the market to improve the situation? My study would investigate the cause of poverty and the change in several basic food prices in China over the past 2 decades, and explore the relationship between poverty and price control of food. Pearson correlation analysis would be used to explore the relationship between the price of different kinds of food and PPP. Based on this, the multiple regression analysis would be further used to describe the quantitative relationship between China's poverty issue and the price control of food. Because I'm going to find the relationship between the food price and the quality of life, so my explanatory variable will simply be the price of several kinds of basic food, including rice, flour, pork, Chinese cabbage, potato. The reason why I choose these foods is because they take a huge proportion in China's diet structure, so they are typical food, and also they are normally affordable for the poor. And my response variable, I choose to use PPP, the purchasing power parity, to show the life quality of citizenship of citizens in this country. Secondly, the collection of data. In my article, I dove into this research question using quantitative methods and collect data on economic indicators for Chinese citizens' level of poverty, as well as a series of factors potentially affect poverty. This is the first original data set of its kind. The data of several kinds of food price comes from National Bureau of Statistics, where the data is recorded per 3 weeks. Sort about the status quo. I divided the status quo into 5 time period. The first is from 1978 to 1998. The food price in this period is fluctuated, but overall is increasing since the Chinese government is increasing the purchase price. And from 1990 to 1991, the food price gradually decreases since the impact of market regulation increases. From 1992 to 1996, the food price skyrocketed due to mismanagement in government intervention. 1997 to 2002, the food price gradually drops due to good harvest in succession. Chinese government set a protecting price to purchase excess supply of food. And from 2003 to 2009, food price increases due to decrease in supply. Government used policies including subsidy and lower barriers in entering the market to increase the supply. So we can see that food price has a really close relationship with the government intervention, and that is also a point of my research. And the following plan. There's no valid conclusion yet about my research, but during the data collection, it's showing that there is a clear relationship between food price and quality of life of citizens. I've just finished collecting the data of food price and PPP, and my next step would mainly focus on using regression modeling to find a more clear and credible relationship between the two variables investigated. Also, the government policies would be used to compare with these two variables which may lead to a conclusion about the effectiveness of food price control and poverty elimination. Thanks for listening.